working on our social health. How to become a millionaire in social health? Well, one little tip is going to be staying in touch. So we've got 3 awesome guests here to help you stay in touch with friends, loved ones, and anybody you want to stay in touch with. Reminder, we want guests. Come on down. If you are a social health person, if you know all about being social, you have so many friends you don't know what to do with, come on the show and tell us how and why, and tell us all about your relationships. We're also looking for sponsors. If you want to get your name in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, feel free to go ahead and shoot us a message, comment, whatever you'd like to do. Without further ado, I'm going to go through my tip on how I maintain my social health. So I have massive friend ADD, whatever you want to call it. If you aren't physically texting me right now or in front of my face, a lot of times I can forget about you. It's just how I'm built, and it's nothing personal. But one way to keep track of that is I use a lot of Facebook birthdays. So Facebook, I'll go check almost every day and see all the birthdays that happen. They do like 2 days past, 2 days in the future, something like that. So I'll check all these birthdays. And depending on how close you are to me, I'll either call you and be like, yo, happy birthday, how you doing? Or I'll give you a little video message. Hey, it's happy birthday. Hope things are awesome. Or just shoot a little text. But it's one way that I keep a track of all my friends. You know, we reinitiate our friendship. Maybe we haven't talked in a few months. Maybe things got busy with them. Things got busy with me, whatever. But when it's their birthday, it comes up and I can go, okay, cool. Let's go touch base with Joe or Paul or Sally again. And, you know, kind of reinitiates that friendship. It works great. It's awesome. If everyone loves getting a happy birthday call or happy birthday message, I know a lot of people get inundated. So you got to make yours a little more personal depending on the level of your friendship. Hopefully it's an easy tip for y'all to think about. And that is what I like to do. And I'm recommending today. We are going to move on to our first guest and see what she has to say. Gemma, in a storm in Toronto, joining us today.
Full storm weather.
Full storm weather. All right. Well, let me ask you real quick. Who are you?
I'm Gemma Devine. And yes, that is my real surname. I did not just make it up. I married my husband solely for the surname.
Yeah. Sounds like a great reason. Yeah. I'm looking for that too. Send me your last names. I'm looking.
Yeah. So I'm founder and CEO of the Community Manager Collective, which is a new business where I am looking to bring together community managers, but also train new people into the world of community. I am an accidental community manager. I'm going to put that word accidental in there. I stumbled upon the job during the pandemic and completely fell in love with the magic of connection that I saw in front of me. It was just the most amazing experience to be able to facilitate so many people coming together digitally and building those new relationships and friendships and connections. So yeah, it's something that I really fell in love with and that I completely geek out about now. I read about it, I learn about it. So yeah, community is on the up for businesses, but also for personal relationships as well. Cool. I am a married lady to a Canadian. I'm obviously not Canadian myself. I am a Scottish girl. I am mama to a fur baby. She's the best doggo in the world. I have to argue that. And I live in a tiny home. So, you know,
very cool.
What else could you not love? I get to live in a tiny home, go outside, have lots of fresh air and adventures, but also come back in and manage some really awesome communities for people.
Awesome. Good. Well, this sounds like a very important question for you that you'll be able to answer. If I wanted to improve my social health on my journey to being a millionaire with staying in touch, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
So my nugget of wisdom would definitely be join some Facebook or online communities where the topic resonates really strongly with you. So in those communities, you'll build friendships, you'll build connections, you'll build all of these awesome kind of networks of people who enjoy the same things that you do. So as soon as you find that tribe, you're going to feel like $1,000,000 because you're going to have those people that love to crochet as much as you, or, you know, want to build their businesses as much as you. And finding those people globally. I'm a small town girl. I grew up in a small town in Scotland where the population was like 16,000 people. the minute the world opened up to me through the pandemic and I started to connect with other people, my whole world came alive. So joining these groups and joining in these conversations where you can be an expert in that field as well. You can be someone that shares their expertise, who shares their knowledge, their wisdom, their creativity. It's just so endless what we can do in online communities.
I love it. So I guess let me ask you this. What happened in your life journey that led you to this piece of advice?
Okay, so I was a little bit lost in my career. I was kind of on that journey of I want to do this, and then shiny object syndrome. Oh, I could do this over here. And it wasn't until I was actually marketing manager for a company through the pandemic, and the company skyrocketed because it was one of those kind of Uber Eats, like deliver to your door grocery store kind of thing. So marketing was crazy, and I actually took not well. I had like a really solid like breakdown because things were just so crazy. And I applied for a role with so she's Britain's #1 therapist and hypnotherapist. Okay. And I applied for a community manager role because it sounded nice. Like it sounded like a really nice job. And I got the job, and it was one of the highest paying roles I'd had in my career. And I was just so grateful. And every day I got to log on and just inspire these people to go through a transformational journey. I got to ask them in-depth questions and find out a lot about the members. And also the other part that I fell in love with was building those connections between those members. So, hey, oh, did you know that Sally also lives here? Or, Doug's going through this transformation, and you guys can kind of team up together. So yeah, I totally stumbled upon the world of community, and now I'm 5 years in. I've spent the last year actually working for one of the largest names in community platforms in the US. And I've gotten to work with over like 150 big names in the industry, building communities for them and just inspiring their members to kind of go through those transformational journeys and building memberships for people, and then looking at the business strategy side of stuff. So more about how to then monetize on community and monetize on memberships, and people in the coaching world, how they can stop doing one-to-one coaching and bring in the one-to-many kind of model. So I am inspired so much by the people that I get to work around in those communities, and also the people behind the scenes, because when you say community manager to people, people are like, what does that do? Like, do you just, it's like, it's still like that social media manager role where it's like, oh, you get to be on Facebook all day. It's like, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Like, it's new and it's exciting. So I totally stumbled upon the job, and I just completely fell in love with it all because it's something that I never thought was even a thing, just to be able to facilitate those conversations between people and bring out the best in everybody that's in that group. And it really does just get you right in the feels. Every day you log on, you read these messages, and every day you log off, you think, I've made an impact on someone's life.
That's awesome. Great story, Gemma. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are out of time with you. We're going to move on to our next guest. We'll talk to you in just a second. Thank you again. Going to bring out Mark. Mark, how are you today?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've got a quick little question for you. Who are you, Mark?
Okay, so my name's Mark Stells. I'm a hypnotherapist. I specialize in helping people to overcome anxiety and complex trauma. My website address is anxietyhypnotherapist.org.
Very cool. Okay. Where are you located?
Well, right now I'm actually in Eastern Europe. I'm in Albania. Okay. I'm from the UK, from Britain originally. I left the UK in the kind of middle of COVID, and I've been kind of traveling around the Balkans ever since.
So I'm guessing that you do a lot of your work online, virtual?
Yeah, I do all of the sessions online. I have workshops 2 or 3 times a week where I show people how they can use hypnotherapy to overcome issues with anxiety, depression, emotional eating, complex trauma. I see clients via Zoom, and I also have some courses on Udemy. So everything I do is online.
All right. I've got a quick question, a very important one. If I wanted to improve my social health by staying in touch, what advice would you give me?
I would say that people should learn to connect with themselves, to release toxic shame, to heal their inner child. And I would recommend that people do this because toxic shame can really get in the way of how we connect with people. I used to suffer with quite severe social anxiety, a lot of shame. I struggled to maintain eye contact with people, struggled with intimacy by doing kind of inner work, releasing toxic shame, healing your inner child, reconnecting with yourself. You're able to develop deeper relationships, overcome a fear of rejection, and rejection can stop people staying in touch. You can, if you fear people will reject you, maybe you won't contact them, etc. So heal your inner child, release toxic shame.
All right. What happened on your life journey that you learned this piece of advice?
Well, I grew up with quite a dysfunctional family. Had a lot of issues with anxiety, which caused me to have a lot of relationship problems, a lot of problems forming and maintaining friendships. About 38, I think, after a kind of nasty divorce, I decided I needed to overcome those issues. So I started looking at different therapies, different ways I could start to feel calmer, form healthier relationships with people. Tried counseling, didn't find it very useful. Hypnotherapy was the only kind of therapy that worked for me. So I decided to dive deeper into that, to learn more about hypnotherapy and to train to become a hypnotherapist, and
Very cool.
ultimately to help people through hypnotherapy.
That's awesome. Awesome. What an awesome story, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you back out in just a couple of minutes.
See you soon.
All right. Next up, we have Yelenia. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
I like your enthusiasm. We've been doing that all morning. Hey, Yelenia, who are you?
I'm a licensed master social worker, and I'm also a hypnotherapist. I have been working primarily with anxiety, but specifically with female entrepreneurs until like just a month ago. I've been pushing that as my main specialty, but I honestly been working with all kinds of things. So I'm finally allowing myself to say like, hey, actually my name of my practice is My Blooming Heart Hypnotherapy and Coaching. I'm doing more. I'm actually doing anxiety, and I have been working a lot with people with depression, and particularly with people who want to quit smoking. So I'm doing all of those things now.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've got an important question then. I love that we have two hypnotherapists. I love how sometimes things just happen and you're like, I guess it works. That's great. If I wanted to improve my social health by staying in touch, what piece of advice would you give me?
So I have a tip of advice for the people who want to stay in touch with the closest people in their life. Make a list of those people and put their names in the planner and reach out every week.
So actually schedule it every week. Yes. That's probably something important for those with friend ADD as well. Probably important.
I would say so. And the story behind it, why I'm providing this particular advice, is because I'm from Russia originally. I moved to the United States when I was 20 with my best friend to New York not planning on moving there, just like dropped everything, dropped out of college in Russia. So I left my whole life behind, and I left a lot of important people behind that I really loved.
Very true.
And I'm still in touch with a lot of them. I actually talked to my best friends. We've been best friends since I was 7, so I'm 34 now. Like, that's a good chunk of my life. We talk every week for an hour. She is scheduled in my planner for a very special morning every week, and that's how I maintained it. So it's coming from a very personal experience of deciding, okay, those people are very important for me, and I have to do my work to stay in touch with them, because it doesn't just happen. And I learned it with very specific members of my family, my brother specifically. He just doesn't do it. He's not really that straightforward unless I reach out to him. He not necessarily would do it for me, but I learned to accept it and being okay with it. But at the same time, what I learned, and I'll let you ask me other questions as well, is that if you sometimes, not with all people, put this work forward first, you kind of like step into that role of carrying the relationship forward for a moment. It will get people accustomed to like, oh, okay, here we doing this staying in touch dance. Okay, this, like, there is a path in between us that we're working on. We're making it like more clear and robust, so we can walk back towards each other at all times. And you see who are those people who are going to do it with you and who are going to drop the ball. And that's just one more thing I want to say. I moved from New York to Hawaii 4 years ago, just before COVID, and I left another whole life behind. It's like a whole circle of friends very close to my heart. And this time around, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do all the work myself anymore. I want to see who of my friends actually going to stay with me if I'm going to drop the ball, like somewhat. If I'm just going to drop it a little bit, am I important enough for them to pick it up for me? Some of them did, and some of them didn't. And it was heartbreaking in certain sense. But at the same time, I feel like I left with the core people who actually care about me.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's good to know who should be in your inner circle and who should be kept at kind of a distance. If they don't put the effort in, then it may not be that important to you. You kind of touched on this. I guess maybe you have about a minute left if you want to retouch on it. Where did you learn to actually schedule it, and what made you think of that? What made you go, hey, these people are this important, I'm going to schedule an hour a week?
Well, having to, first of all, scheduling everything with my dad, with my aunt, with my best friends when I moved to the States, but also when I went to grad school for my master's degree, and my schedule was just like filled with stuff from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to stay in my friend's life. And this is when I made the list and put it on my mirror so I could actually oh, I haven't spoken to this person in a long time. I will send him a text.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Yelenia. I'm going to go ahead and bring everyone else out, and we can chat about our tips. We got Mark and Gemma. All right, well, let's just start with Gemma. Gemma, can you real quickly refresh us what your tip was?
Yeah, so I'm encouraging everybody to join those online communities. So anything that tickles your fancy, anything to do with a subject that interests you or you think that you can be an expert in, or something you can share your knowledge in, because having those online connections is also important to us nowadays.
That's very important. I mean, COVID may have pushed us farther away in person, but it definitely made it much easier to stay in touch online. I mean, even if you're only Facebook messaging or commenting on each other's stuff every so often, that's better than not calling at all. So I like that tip. Yelenia, how do you think about her tip?
I love it. I'm in so many Facebook communities, and I start being part of them as COVID hit. And I realized that I actually have to make money some other way than being a social worker, because there was no hiring positions in my state. So I love it. And I also believe that community is where the healing happens for anxiety, for any kind of things. We need that more so than one-on-one. So I'm all for it.
I love that. Community is where the healing happens. I'm stealing that.
We're clipping it too. We're going to clip that for sure. Hey, Mark, what are your thoughts on Gemma's tip?
Excellent. Yeah, communities are great way to keep in touch with people. Brilliant way to learn new things, to build conversations and meet new people as well.
I love it. Yelenia, can you quickly refresh us what your tip was?
My tip was in regards to how to stay in touch with the people who are closest to you. Make a list of those people. Actually, I have two lists, like the people who closest to me, and then one circle out. And then I put in my planner when I want to be talking to them. Just a reminder, like, oh, I have to like reach out to this person and chat.
Awesome. Hey, Mark, what do you think about her tip?
Yeah, it's a very good tip. Something I might try and employ myself.
Great.
Okay, very cool. Gemma, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely love it. So I moved from Scotland to Canada, and I completely feel that if you don't initiate the conversations with some people, it can go months by where you're like, oh, I haven't heard from that person. And I think like our kind of two things kind of go together, like making sure on socials that those people are in your world. So those people that you maybe have in that outer circle are not people that you're going to phone, maybe text once in a while, but just making sure that you're liking the things that they're posting on socials kind of just keeps you in their mind view as well.
Very true, very true. Hey, Mark, what can you quickly refresh us what your tip was?
Yeah, to heal your inner child, to release toxic shame. By doing that, you'll be able to connect with people more authentically. You won't have a fear of rejection or social anxiety. And you'll be able to keep in touch with people without worrying about them rejecting.
I love it. I love it. Yelenia, what are your thoughts on his tip?
Oh, I loved it. How he went into like, oh, what kind of internal work we have to do to be able to show up in our relationship in the best way possible. I definitely feel like I had to overcome a good amount of not social anxiety, but like my general introvertedness in a sense of like, oh no, I have a value, I have a voice. I should be in those relationships. It's okay to say hello. So I'm totally agree with that.
Very cool. And Gemma, what are your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I love the completely different perspective of doing the inner work and just understanding yourself so you can be so authentic to those people around you, no matter what the circumstances you are connected with them, is beautiful. And Elena, fellow introvert right here, until I started to work with people in the coaching world, I didn't realize that I had so many quirks and so many things that I had to overcome to then be a little bit more extroverted. So, Mark, I love that.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. All right. Well, this brings us to my favorite part of the episode. It's our daily challenge time. We have to get together, brainstorm, and come up with a little challenge. It takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world to help them stay in touch and improve their social health. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Ooh. I think there could be a way of pulling all three together, like all four together.
That's my favorite way.
Yeah, what about like making your own like Facebook group and inviting in whoever you want, and that way you can keep in touch with everybody, or a WhatsApp group, or building your own little community, so you're not having to physically reach out to every single person singularly. And that way, Mark, if people then reject you on top of that, like you kind of, if people don't want to join, you then know that those people are the ones that they're kind of not worth the time.
Yelenia, thoughts on that?
I definitely agree. I actually have a local like Telegram group for my female entrepreneurs friend who were like on an island, on a big island that I am. And it's been really good. It's been really good to stay in touch like that. And my tip, following my advice, is to make the list of those people you want to have in your life more so often and put it somewhere visible, like maybe into your planner. If you have a paper planner, I'm an analog person, and then refer to it like every so often, maybe every day, and see like, ooh, I haven't talked to them. I should probably just shoot him a text.
Mark, you have any ideas?
Yeah, those are great ideas. I was going to say that during COVID, my friends, we created a group so that we could stay in touch on Facebook. So that's a great idea. My tip, I suppose, sticking with the theme of inner work, would be to meditate for 5 minutes every day. Costs nothing, enables you to connect with people more authentically. That would be my tip.
All right. Well, let's think here. So something you can do every day. So I think it's going to be a little tough to create a new group every day. What do you guys think about maybe? I mean, I do like a group chat. That is a great way to get involved with similar people. I don't know.
An analog and a digital version. So analog is that creating that list, and then the digital version is inviting them in.
I kind of like the idea of like scheduling like a weekly like text blast out or something. Maybe we have like the two groups like Yelenia said, and like you can schedule whatever you want. Every Wednesday at noon, you send out like a group chat to like your closest 5 people, just reminding them how special they are. Oh gosh, I saw Yelenia's reaction there. But that's something that's almost weekly. What can we do every day to stay in touch? I mean, maybe we just schedule a time every day at like 9 a.m. and you send out a text or a call to someone that's close to you. That's simple enough. Maybe someone that you haven't talked to in at least a month, and you have to send out a text to someone you haven't talked to in a month.
I like that.
How do you guys feel about that? Every day we just pick someone you haven't talked to and you reconnect again.
With
That's
no
great.
agenda. No hidden agenda.
Other than us
connection.
challenging you.
Just connection.
Yeah, and then I mean that text only takes like 30 seconds, so you could meditate for 4.5 minutes after that too.
Absolutely.
Actually, you will have to do some sort of meditating to think about the text. You'll have to do some sort of inner dialogue to be like, what should I text this person I haven't talked to in a month? And then we can schedule it every day. Like you pick your time. I'm probably gonna do like 8 a.m. Sorry, all you late sleepers, you're getting a text. So we'll schedule, make it kind of like a group thing, but I think keeping in touch with people over a month is a good little challenge. How do you guys feel about that?
That's an excellent idea, yeah. And like you said, to personalize the text for every person. So to think about what they'd like to receive and send them something that they're going to respond to.
And maybe just pulling Mark's side of things in is getting over that anxiety of reaching out to people that you possibly haven't spoken to in a while as well, because that can be quite nerve-wracking when you haven't had those conversations. Is it going to go is it going to have the reception that you want it to go, or will it be ignored? So maybe doing that inner work kind of for the 4.5 minutes before you send the message, and just making sure your anxiety level is at that right time to send that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take at least a minute or two to kind of make it like a personal text, not like a yo, sup dog. let's make it a personal text, and every day we don't have to share the text, but every day we can talk, we can post and share. I'll probably screenshot it, maybe blur some things out, and then kind of someone. The tough part's gonna be thinking about who you haven't talked to in a month that you want to reconnect with. Especially for me, so that'll be kind of fun. Cool. I think that's a great challenge, guys. That essentially wraps up our show. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Great advice, great tips. That was a good show. I'm pretty happy with that. And we're gonna go ahead and conclude it and take our guests out of here. Hope you all had some fun there. That concludes our show, How to Improve Your Social Health by Staying in Touch. So if you feel a little alone, lost, desperate and lonely, here's a couple ways to rekindle some old friendships, see some old people that you haven't talked to in a while that you forgot about. You can go take some time to rethink about who you are, and focus on yourself for a little bit, then you can schedule and actually put it in your planner when you're going to connect with people so you don't lose touch and feel hopeless. And then you can also just join groups to make new friends and stay in touch with them. We've got our daily challenge. We're going to take a couple minutes to think about yourself and prepare and think of someone you haven't talked to in a month and shoot them a quality personal message. Not no, hey dog, what's up type of stuff. We're going to make it real personal here. So hopefully you guys will join us on our challenge, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Millionaires.